See what's in my bag.
This is my money disc. I love this for control.
Firebird, let the disc do the work and fly.
Classic great AVRs. Great disc.
Hey everyone, Jeremy Koling here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm very excited to finally be bringing you the much anticipated What's in Big Jerm's Bag video. Since I joined Innova in January, I've had an endless number of requests to find out what I'm throwing, what I'm liking, so on and so forth. So this is a really exciting day for me, and I'm really pumped to show you guys what I'm digging right now. Keep in mind that a lot of these discs are being taken out and put in. I'm trying to figure out what works best for me. But I'd say that I can confidently say that I've got about 90% of this bag locked down. I feel like I can take these discs to any course in the world and be competitive on the top level. So without further delay, let's get into it. We're gonna start off with my drivers. I'd say that my drivers are the discs that I'm most comfortable with what I'm gonna be throwing this year. I don't see many discs going in or going out from the lineup that I currently have in here. So we're gonna start off with the most important disc in my bag, most likely, and that is the Star Destroyer. This is the quintessential disc for any power distance thrower. Currently I have 5 of them in my bag, going from a very flippy, long turning, great for stand-up sidearms Star Destroyer. That this disc has been owned by a lot of top-level pros. I got this from Paul Ulibarri. It was originally owned by Will Schustrig. I let Dustin Keegan have it after I won the USDGC, and I liked it so much that I called him back after I decided I was going to go to Innova, and I was like, "Hey man, remember that Destroyer?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can have it back." So he wasn't happy about it because it was a really good one. But I'm happy to have it back, and it's got the Dustin Keegan love on it, so you always got to have a little bit of the pro love on your discs. This is the most overstable thing I've ever thrown in my life. I don't know if you can hear this heartbeat, but this is a mutation of a Destroyer, and it's only 168, and I just call it impossible because I can't throw it over 300 feet. Great to have for headwinds, especially when you're in windy Las Vegas. Another really good one, I got this from my buddy Kyle Dolazar back in Charlotte, North Carolina. He works at Innova, a good buddy of mine. I call this one the Bananas Fosters. If you can see it close, there's a bunch of black specks in it. Another really great run of Star Destroyer. Feels great in the hand, handles a headwind, but it's something that actually flies a good bit too. This one was a Christmas present from my roommate, Henry Childress, one of my biggest influences in disc golf. We've been buddies since the very first tournament I ever played, and this is the best feeling driver I've ever felt in my life, hands down. This one right here is just perfect. It's great for headwinds, it's great for distance. I can rip on it, I can always trust it to fight back and fly. It's just a perfect distance driver. 2-line, I believe, I'm still learning all the lingo for the collector market. But and here's another Dustin Keegan Destroyer. This is one that he lost at USDGC. I found in the lost and found pile, and I called him. I was like, "Hey, I got your Destroyer," and he found out about me joining Innova. He's like, "Go ahead and keep it, put it in the bag." So we got more Dustin Keegan love here. Here's a very important distance driver in my bag, and this is the Star Wraith. When I first started playing disc golf in 06, this is a brand new distance driver, and it was the disc that I learned, along with the Champion Orc, how to throw a distance driver sidearm. And this was the fastest, straightest disc that I knew how to throw when I first started playing. And when I got sponsored by other companies, I was constantly looking for a disc to fly like this. It's great to be able to throw this disc again because it's such a crucial part of my control 370 to maybe 300 foot sidearm game in the woods and in the open. It's really great, trusty, good in the wind and calm wind, and just really good for shaping different shots. Here's a very important part of my bag. You got the flat top Glow Firebird and the Champ Glow Nate Sexton Tour Series Firebird. This one has a little bit straighter flight to it. I can control shots in the woods with this, and it doesn't require as much left to right space to throw flex shots. I can throw this thing pretty hard in the woods or in the open and know it's going to finish right, but it's going to give me a long straight flight consistently in any wind. And this is my flat top mostly used exclusively for thumbers. And this thing is so slow turning that when I throw thumbers with it, it doesn't pan for about 300 feet. So I'm usually throwing this thing upwards of 350 to 375 for thumbers. And this thing is like a get out of jail or get over the top of trees kind of shot disc. Really crucial for my bag for trick shots too. Great for flick rollers in the woods and any sort of get out of trouble flex shot. These two Firebirds are really crucial for me. Next is the newest, most important disc in my bag, and it is the Champion Thunderbird and the Star Thunderbird. These two discs fly like nothing else I've really had in my bag for really ever. I can throw these things full power and trust that they're not going to flip over and they're just going to ride straight. The Champion one seems to be a bit straighter for me, and the Star one's better for headwinds or shots that I need to throw a gentle hyzer that just holds the whole way. I can throw these things comfortably 450 if I need to, if not further, but they're also great at the 320 foot range for me as well. Definitely my favorite new disc that I'm throwing right now. Also have a T-Bird, a KJ 10-time Danish disc golf champion T-Bird. These Swirled Star ones are great, real stiff plastic, great for straight shots, but it actually is pretty overstable too for a T-Bird. So I can throw this thing into a headwind and trust that it's not going to flip over on me. It's a speed 7, so it's actually a bit slower than the Thunderbird. So if I want to make sure that I'm not out driving a shot, I might club down to the T-Bird instead of throwing the Thunderbird. Now we'll go to some of my Discmania stuff. This is a PD2 that was given to me by Jeff Korn's Discmania player. Very overstable, and it's something that I would throw instead of maybe a destroyer for a little bit more stability in the wind. Great for spike hyzers and trick shots. I have to throw a low ceiling and hyzer that still needs to skip right. Just something I'm working with, but I really like the PD2. This was a disc that I've been told for a long time that I was going to love for my flick. And actually I have two of them. I have the C-Line and the S-Line CD2. This is another Jeff Korn's gift, and beautiful swirl star plastic there. And this one was just one of the original discs that I got from Innova when they was like, you need to try this out. This is a great disc. And it is. It's really great for me to throw in the woods and in the open for just straight shots. It's basically a longer version of the next favorite disc in my bag, the FD. This thing right here, this is a second run FD that I got from Brian Schweberger, and like I said, you got to have love in your bag. You got to have discs that are given you by people. That mojo goes a long way. You know, when you're holding on to a disc, you can feel the history behind it. I love that stuff. And so Schwebby hooked me up with this when I went and visited him this year, and it's just I mean, if you've thrown a second run FD, you know, it's just the best feeling line. It's stiff, it's flat, it does what it's supposed to do. Feels great in the hand, it's great for flicks and backhands alike. Definitely one of my number one go-tos in the woods right now. And the S-Line is a bit less stable, and so it's even better in the woods for me than the C-Line, because I can actually flip it up a bit more and have it gently fade left when I throw flicks with it. And I really like the S-Line feel. It's a bit gummier than the second run C-Lines. So it's really good when it starts to get cold out. You can get a really good grip with it. And I believe the last driver in my bag, actually I have two more besides this one. This is a Champion Colossus. This thing is a speed 14, it rips. It is incredibly fast, and I like that it's understable, but it's not overly flippy, so that I can actually put a good bit of power behind it and have it stand up and hold a long turn without necessarily turning into a roller. It has been a crucial disc for me for long wooded shots. In the open, I would only use it for tailwind situations or if it's calm. Not certainly something I'd be throwing into any sort of headwind, but it's a great controlled distance driver. For the speed that it has, it doesn't have a wildly left to right flight, which is really great for, like I said, for wood shots and predictability. And the last 2 discs I have in my bag, 2 drivers at least, are my Champion Roadrunners. This is one that I got from a buddy in Charlotte just recently. This was in his backyard for, he said, years, but it has a perfect feel. It's an old run, pre-flight numbers, a little bit less stable than this one, which is a newer run, very stiff. I use them both for rollers, but I actually use the newer one for turnovers in the woods as well. Both have a really incredibly predictable roller line to them. I'd say out of the box, the best roller disc I've ever thrown. And if you have trouble throwing rollers, grab a Champion Roadrunner and give it a shot, because I think out of the bag or out of the box, you can throw these things flat, hard, and they're going to turn into a predictable roller line, and you can learn how to throw a roller with this disc alone. So that does it for all the drivers. Now let's get into my mid-ranges. I kind of developed a driver focus bag over the last couple years. However, the mid-ranges I have in my bag are very important to me. Let's start off with the disc that I basically have been looking for my flip-up woods, the late turn sidearm. Right now, that's the Mako 3, and it has been a really great disc. When thrown well, this thing flips up and holds a really straight, true line. It feels good in the hand. I got the Star plastic, and it's really flat, which I really like. Comes out of the hand nice and clean, and has a nice late turn if you put enough snap on it. This is probably my favorite mid-range in my bag right now. This is a C-Line MD2 that I got as a player's pack disc in 2010 at the USCGC. Didn't know that I'd be using this thing one day in a tournament. However, it's just a perfect feeling flying disc for my flick. The mid-ranges I have in my bag, it's really important that I can throw them for flicks and for backhands alike. And if I can't flick them, I will typically take that mid-range out of my bag. Just for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to be thrown as much as a disc that I can go throw both ways. And this thing, although it's not super overstable, it is torque resistant, so I can put a good bit of snap on it, have it flip up and fly straight. Another Discmania disc, I have the MD3 C-Line obviously, and this thing has been awesome for flicks and for backhands. It's a very straight, true flyer, a little bit more overstable than the CD2, or the MD2, excuse me. And it is it's just a very reliable mid-range. I like it a lot. It feels great in the hand, and still learning the disc's properties and its flight, but so far I think this thing is going to be a mainstay. Here we have a gift from Stephen Moore, who saw that I was in need of a low-profile, overstable, short-range disc without a bead. And I like the Gator, however, I just couldn't quite get a clean flick with it with the bead, and so I was in search for a beadless Gator, and Steven hooked me up. It's the only one I have right now, so I'm a little bit scared to throw it around water, but I love the feel of the plastic. It's flat, it's rigid, and it handles a good bit of pop, so really loving my beadless Gator. And now to one of my favorite discs in my bag. This was the very first disc I ever got with my merch bucks, or as Drew Gibson calls them, Daryl dollars. This was a Star Rock. This was the disc that I learned how to flick a mid-range with. This was like, if I was going to play a one disc round back in 2006, 2007, it was with this disc. When I joined Innova, this was the first thing I went to go find. And my very first throw with it was on this super tight wooded hole in Charlotte, 300-foot dead straight shot, and I just peered it right down the middle, and it was just the best feeling. I was like, man, this thing hasn't lost a beat. So great to have this thing back in the bag for mojo purposes, and just really brings me back to the beginning days of disc golf. So love having that kind of mojo in my bag. And yeah, so I only have 5 mid-ranges in there right now, but it pretty much covers the spectrum of what I need. So now let's get to putters. Now finally off to my putters. The putters are the one thing I've been going back and forth between. Sometimes I want to go with the Pro P2s, and sometimes I go with the Mick Pro AVRs. What I've found is that I have a bit more consistency in the wind with the Pro P2s, and if you can see today in Vegas, we're expecting a lot of wind. So this week I am focusing on the Pro P2s. I also have an S-Line, another USDGC 2010 P2, which is great for my overstable approaches. But I have a Dana Vici Given Team Discmania P2 and 3 more P2s that I picked up from the Innova factory. What I like about them is that they feel great in hand, and they're pretty point and shoot. They're pretty straight, and like I said, they handle a good bit of wind. So right now the P2 is what I'm focused on, but like I said, for the wind, I trust these a bit more. I think only one player in the world knows how to putt into a headwind with Mick Pro, and his name is Mick Pro, so I'll leave that to him for now. And the only other putter I have in my bag is one of my favorite things that I've been throwing since I joined Innova, and it is the Nova. I have another USDGC Players Pack disc here. Once again, hold on to your disc, people. You don't know what you're going to be throwing in 5 years. Just because you're not throwing it right now doesn't mean you have to get rid of everything. You know, I never thought that I'd be throwing a Nova, but when I started throwing this thing around, I couldn't believe the shots that this thing was producing. The shape that this thing flies is just incredible. There's nothing else like it in terms of putters. You put it on a hyzer line, and it holds that hyzer line, and you can throw it hard. You throw it flat, and it goes straight, and you put a little bit of anhyzer on it. It doesn't duck down and roll. It holds the anhyzer, and it's a special disc. It may look a little bit silly. It may look like a toy, and these little notches might get in your way when you're throwing. I personally throw with a fan grip, so it doesn't bother me one bit. This plastic feels amazing, and I think it looks pretty cool now. I used to think it looked like a toy. Now I'm like, actually, this thing is pretty cool. So certainly loving the Nova, and it has opened up a new type of shot in my bag that I've never really had before. So that wraps it up for putters, and that pretty much does it for the discs that are in my bag. Yeah, I want to wrap that up and then do an outro.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Like I said, this bag, for the most part, is pretty much locked down, but who knows, maybe in 6 months we'll have to do another in the bag video to show what I'm throwing at that given time. But for right now, this is what I'm taking out with me anywhere in the world, and you know, I really like everything that I have in here, and I hope that you enjoyed watching my very first in the bag video with Innova.